This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. A young man is in hospital tonight with a confirmed case of meningococcal. It's the second case of the disease in less than a week. A 16-year-old girl was reported to have died from the condition on Thursday. Our reporter Michelle Wisby joins us now. Michelle, what's the latest?
Good evening, Rach. We've been told that the 20-year-old man is receiving treatment here at the Royal Hobart Hospital. As you've mentioned, it is the second reported case of meningococcal in Tasmania in less than a week. Just on Thursday, we heard that a 16-year-old girl had died after reportedly contracting the disease. Health officials are saying they don't believe the two cases are linked. The man was admitted to hospital yesterday, and it's understood anyone he'd been in contact with has been given antibiotics, as well as information about the disease. Meningococcal symptoms include fever, severe muscle pains, headaches, feeling drowsy or confused. Late in the illness, a rash can occur, but a person's condition can deteriorate rapidly. Doctors are reminding people to seek emergency medical treatment if they do recognise these symptoms. So, Rach, it's definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah, some interesting information there. Thank you for that, Michelle. Michelle Wisby there at the Royal Hobart Hospital. A 49-year-old man remains in a critical condition tonight following a serious incident at a Launceston nightclub in the early hours of this morning. Police say the Lagana man sustained serious injuries during an alleged assault outside the Bakers Lane nightclub on York Street just before 2 a.m. He was transported to the Royal Hobart Hospital and is currently in ICU in an induced coma. A 22-year-old man from Riverside has been charged with grievous bodily harm and is expected to appear in court tomorrow. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. A late-night party has ended in disaster when fire destroyed a budget backpackers accommodation in Cressy. The travellers lost all of their possessions, including their passports, in the blaze, which is still being investigated.
This burnt-out backpackers was home to a group of young travellers, but at around midnight last night, that all changed. The fire taking only moments to fully engulf the property. Thankfully, no one was injured. Investigators still need to talk to key people at the venue before the cause can be determined.
They were all in another building at the time the fire started.
One visitor told us he was playing pool when he heard another guest yelling "fire" in a panic. Crews didn't have far to go, with the first ambulancers responding from the station across the road.
On their arrival, the building was fully involved behind us.
Backup crews were also called in from surrounding areas.
We had the local crews from Cressy and also Longford and Perth Fire Brigades were called to assist, and also some assistance from Launceston Fire Brigade as well.
The Backpackers is located behind the Ringwood Hotel in Cressy's main street and is popular with seasonal workers. The damage bill is estimated to be $170,000. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
An old abandoned orphanage in Hobart is being prepared for a transformation. The former Queen's Orphan School for Boys in Newtown was once a place of trauma and sadness, but it's now ready to be converted into an artistic hub.
This orphanage was once a place of devastation, now ready for a new life. Built in 1831, the orphanage housed hundreds of boys, many forced to live in harsh and often cruel conditions.
You learn from history, you learn from your mistakes, and you move forward, and to repurpose a building like this is just an amazing thing to do.
Remnants of the past remain, but it's now ready for its new chapter. The St John's Park Creative Living Centre will take shape as Kickstart Arts prepares to repurpose the site.
It's going to be full of life. It's going to be full of artists and community groups working together, making art, having community events, sharing great food, sharing stories.
The best way to preserve an old building is for someone to use it, and that's what's going to happen.
The finished product will include 18 studio spaces, a theatre and a community kitchen. A public forum today shedding light on the orphanage's dark past, including its treatment of Aboriginal children.
Unless we do recognise and accept what happened, then there is no truth in the future, and that just can't be.
You can turn the story around through people working together, and bringing positive energy into a place really does start to flush the negative energy out.
The building will be open by mid-next year. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
A new campaign is using art to paint a picture of Tasmania's housing crisis. The 50-50 Affordable Housing Art Awareness campaign involves 50 artists all creating work based on their idea of homelessness. The artworks will be hung in business windows across Hobart with the message, "Everyone needs a home." The campaign was officially launched today with some of the city's youngest citizens contributing their work to the cause.
I'm hoping it will destigmatise the issue of homelessness, particularly what homelessness looks like now in Hobart and Tasmania.
The Hobartians Facing Homelessness group is now planning a series of forums to accompany the campaign. With the Huon Valley Midwinter Festival wrapping up this afternoon, organisers are praising blue skies and a huge crowd for another successful year. Children and adults joining in with a certain masterclass, keeping the little ones entertained.
A fun farm spectacular, all ages frolicking in the festivities.
Great, the kids always have a great time playing in the mud and Highland cows.
Pretty lovely down here. The sun's out and lots of lovely people, very friendly, jovial, very jovial in fact.
Crowds flocking from outside the region to savour the produce of the Huon Valley Midwinter Fest, while the locals are soaking it up.
I guess for the people around here to kind of enjoy all the food that they're growing, it's nice to keep it in the area for sure.
And with 21 stall holders and lots of entertainment, everyone's a winner.
Local artisan products, locally grown, freshly cooked for the festival.
People get a chance to drop their inhibitions and express themselves to the fullest and just let go.
This circus masterclass allowing the littlies to tune their skills as the adults tempt their taste buds.
I'm just enjoying the malt cider, it's really great.
Organisers say over 18,000 people have taken part in these Huon Valley festivities this weekend, pumping over $1 million into the local economy.
Without those people coming in the door and doing this, it wouldn't happen.
The festival wraps up today, with Willie Smiths hoping to run it again next winter.
Yeah, it's been good fun.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A new scholarship for LGBTI Tasmanians has been launched to help young people further their education. The Pinnacle Foundation has long given life-changing scholarships to young people, but this is the first time one will be offered to Tasmanians. The scholarship not only provides funding, but also matches a LGBTI student with an influential mentor to guide them along the way.
That mentor has the same sort of sexual identity as you do. They're close enough that you can meet up, and they're a successful and out leader in your chosen path of study.
Dr White and his partner donating $50,000 to initiate the scholarship. Applications can now be made for 2019 through the Pinnacle Foundation website. A Tasmanian father has opened up about the struggle his family faced before his son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as a national week of awareness for the disease wraps up. Diabetes Tasmania says it's just one example of the importance of early detection, warning of 4 signs to look out for.
It's sometimes described as a silent killer, and a lot of mystery still surrounds what exactly triggers type 1 diabetes.
It can strike, in a sense, completely unexpectedly. It's not preventable and it's not related to lifestyle.
Father of 5, Tim Griggs, says finding out his son Alex has the autoimmune disease was no easy task. The 10-year-old was diagnosed 4 years ago.
Over a couple of weeks or so that he slowly got deteriorated, and then one night he was having a bath and we just looked at him and thought, geez, he seems to have lost weight.
With a trip to the emergency ward, it was soon realised how serious it was.
Went straight up to the high care unit at the Royal Hobart Hospital, which really has the sickest kids in Hobart there, and he was in hospital for about 2 weeks.
Now Diabetes Tasmania has a life-saving message to share, one they hope can help families like Tim's. It's urging the public to keep an eye out for 4 simple signs.
We know that, sadly, there are too many people ending up in emergency departments. We look at the sign side of, tired, getting thinner, thirsty, going to the toilet. So the 4 T's, so they're pretty easy to remember.
According to recent figures, around 3,000 Tasmanians are currently living with type 1 diabetes. That's an increase of 4% over the last year.
It is something for life, and your child will just generally need a a lot of support to help them through managing this disease.
Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian man in remission from a rare form of incurable cancer has been given a boost. Now, thanks to the treatment being subsidised by the federal government, patients will no longer have to pay thousands of dollars a year to receive it.
Over the past decade, 70-year-old Peter Wilson has been dealing with a rare and aggressive form of lymphoma. It's nearly beaten him a few times, but thanks to a trial drug, he's here to tell his story.
So I think it was a combination of the chemo and the ibrutinib that got me through.
Mantle cell lymphoma has caused the devoted husband and father to go in and out of remission, and now things are looking stable.
I get to hang out with my granddaughter. I wanted to see her become a teenager. I've seen that now. I'd like to wait till she's married.
The drug will soon be on the PBS, meaning patients who would otherwise have to spend $9,000 a month on the treatment will pay as low as $6.10. There's around 20 Tasmanians with the disease and 450 across the country.
We, of course, want a treatment that is highly, highly active with relatively low side effects. And that's where I think ibrutinib fits nicely.
Doctors say the drug will help the hundreds of Australians just like Peter who would otherwise be facing death. Patients take 4 of these tablets a day.
It's sort of a handbrake on the accelerator of the cancer cell.
I'm so pleased that other people have the same opportunity that I had.
It will be available for those where other treatment options have been tried and where chemotherapy has stopped working.
And it's really heartening for many patients. It gives us much more options.
I just live in hope that this remission is going to last for a few more years.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian Richie Porte has broken into the overall top 10 at the Tour de France after avoiding a smash which affected half the peloton. Tonight, Porte faces the hardest stage of the Tour when the feared cobblestones make their return. At the head of the peloton in Stage 8, Porte's trademark Tasmania necklace was front and centre. The 180-kilometre stage began smoothly through northern France, with Porte spending a large chunk of the early ride alongside Kiwi teammate Patrick Bevan. But it was another BMC member clutching control, Greg Van Avermaet picking up a 1-second time bonus to push Porte's time deficit out to 57 seconds. The Tasmanian was at the front when cyclists collided.
Crash in the peloton. It's a fair way back down the line, but that is a heavy fall.
Stage 6 winner Dan Martin was the worst off.
Look at the blood on the elbow of Martin. It ripped all over his back.
No luck for the tough Irishman, who pushed on battered and bruised, while the leading pack fought for supremacy.
This is now a full-blooded attack. This is no lead-out. This is Gilbert trying to win the stage and see if he can take the jersey.
Porte was shielded by his team to move up to 9th overall, while the sprinters went for broke.
Groenewegen is trying to get there. Greipel fights on. Gaviria, Groenewegen. You make that 2.
Tonight we'll see one of the most dangerous stages of the Tour when the dreaded cobblestones return. Meanwhile, Tasmanian Jake Birtwistle has slammed the latest World Triathlon Series event in Germany, accusing race organisers of failing to follow protocols. He criticised the starting horn firing twice.
And someone went very, very early.
And he says kayaks were in the way of swimmers. The frustration clearly didn't help Birtwistle, who finished in 5th place after having come 2nd at this event the past 2 years. Birtwistle is back in action tonight for the mixed team relay. Back home in the TSL, Launceston has heaped more misery on the Demons. The Blues took a 6-goal lead into the main break before the floodgates opened in the second half. Mitch Thorpe kicked 5, Dylan Riley booted 3. The day was made worse for North Hobart by this ugly friendly fire, where 2 players collided and went to ground. In the wash-up, Launceston finished the day 97-point winners. And in the weekend's NPL, Hobart Zebras have held off Launceston City 3-2. The game read like a whitewash early on, with Zebras scoring their 3 goals before half-time. But a Noah Mees penalty brought City back into the match, followed by another goal in the 81st minute to give Zebras a scare. Elsewhere, Devonport's dream run continues with a 3-1 win over Kingborough, Braden Mann scoring twice at Valley Road. Cellar dweller Clarence started strongly against Olympia, going into half-time at 1-1, but Olympia obliterated its opponent after the break, finishing the day with an 8-1 win. And Northern Rangers have produced a stunning 3-2 victory over South Hobart at Darcy Street. The Northwest Thunder has had a heartbreaking loss to Diamond Valley, putting its finals hopes in jeopardy. The two sides were neck and neck for most of the contest before the visitors pulled away to win by 4. Better news in Launceston, with the Tornadoes recording a stirring win over the Eagles. The 9-point victory sees the side jump to 4th on the table. The game had been described by star Lauren Nicholson as Launceston's most important of the season, and last night the Torns did it justice. Going into the game with identical win-loss records, the Tornadoes used a fanatical home court crowd to get the edge over Diamond Valley. Nicholson would star once again with 15 rebounds and 17 points. But it would be the shooting genius of Ellie Collins which made the biggest dent on the scoreboard. She nailed 27, her second highest score for the season, after last weekend's 32 against Melbourne. After a tight opening period, the Tornadoes broke away in the second and third to bring the game to safety. The emphatic 9-point victory means the Torns can secure a home final if they beat Hobart next week. With only one game left in the season, last night's clash was certainly not one the Thunder could afford to drop. Neck and neck at the first and second changes, Diamond Valley hit the lead at the end of the third period. Jeremiah Ingram did his best in the last to turn back the tide, hitting this three-pointer to rally the troops in the closing minutes. He would be the focus again shortly after, with a terrific turnover and a slam dunk to fire up the home crowd. But the clock beat the Thunder in the end, the side going down in a disappointing 4-point loss. It means the Northwest sits just one win clear of Mount Gambier, Dandenong and Melbourne on the table. The side must win next week against Hobart to guarantee a spot in the final 8. Meanwhile, the Hobart Chargers have had a flawless weekend on the road. Last night, Craig Moller sent home 37 points for the men's side in its 6-point win over Ballarat. Mathiang Muo was the top scorer today against Dandenong. The 9-point win keeps the side in the top 3. In the women's, Britt Smart led the scoring with 23 points last night. The team ran out 9-point winners over Ballarat. And today the side backed it up with a 16-point win over Dandenong. Clara Wisher scored 37.
Good evening. Overnight winds made for a murky start today with low cloud about the north and mist and fog over inland parts of the state. Hobart and Devonport both reached 12 degrees. It was 14 in Burnie, but a high of just 9 in Launceston. 15 degrees was the state's top temperature recorded at Smithton. It was 13 at St Helens and Friendly Beaches, 12 at Low Head and Strawn, 10 degrees at Grove, and Lyowini had our overnight low of -5 with a top of 6. A weak low pressure trough swept cloud over most of the state, with some clear patches over the east and southeast. A frontal band approached South Australia from the west, led by some thick high to middle level cloud. Tomorrow another trough approaches Tasmania while a vigorous cold front approaches Western Australia, and the north of the mainland is dominated by a ridge of high pressure. West to northwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming northwesterly and increasing to 30 knots through the day. That brings us a strong wind warning between Southeast Cape and Wineglass Bay. We've also got a road weather alert for potentially icy roads in the Midlands, Upper Derwent Valley and southeast. Hobart is looking partly cloudy tomorrow with a top of 15. A possible late shower for Dover 13, Ouse 14. Showers in the north 12 the top for both Launceston and Devonport, Scottsdale 11. Showers for Burnie and Stanley both looking at a top of 12 degrees, Strawn 13. St Helens a shower or two, 13 the top, Swansea partly cloudy 14 and a shower or two for Ross. Tuesday there'll be more showers about the state with the chance of late thunderstorms and small hail in the north and west of the state. Those storms may carry through to Wednesday morning. We're also expecting showers about the west, south and Bass Strait Islands extending statewide through the morning. And the wet weather continues on Thursday. Statewide showers, but most frequent about the north and west of the state. Now let's look further north. A sunny day for Brisbane and Darwin tomorrow. Sydney mostly sunny, a top of 18 and 14 degrees with some light rain for Melbourne. Taking a look now at the current conditions around the state. Hobart 8 degrees and partly cloudy, Launceston 7 and partly cloudy, Devonport 9 and mostly clear. And that's all the weather for tonight, Rach.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Britt. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rachel Williams. Good night.